weather and rain is kind of what I was going to talk about. Storms. I remember when I was pretty young, my family all are from Oklahoma. But then they moved out to California, and that's where I was born. Half the kids were born out here, and the other half were back in California. And we used to come out and visit. And I'll never forget, we'd come out in the summer when we had school, we were out of school, and we'd drive out here. And I'll never forget one summer, about the second time we come out to visit. I don't remember how old I was, but I remember it was August. We were driving from Granite to Weatherford. And about halfway there, this storm broke out. Now this is August to me. I grew up in California, and in August, if you have a storm, there's something really wrong, because I don't think in all the years I lived there was ever a storm in August. This storm breaks out, and it just starts pouring down, but it wasn't rain, and I'd never seen hail. But hail the size of golf balls. And it was coming down, and I thought, boy, I tell you what, now that was a storm. Everybody had to pull off the highway. That's how bad it got. And they just sat there and waited for it to finish, and I was thinking, what country am I in? What is going on? But that was I just thought, and that point on, I remember, and my wife will back me up on this, I said, I am never going to live in Oklahoma. There is no way. Well, never say never, I guess. But anyway, and not that there's no storms or nothing bad ever happened in California. One year where we lived, we got a bunch of snow, and it broke off. It came pretty hard for about 2 days, knocked a bunch of trees over. We lost power. We were out of power for a week out there. And that was a bad storm. When they get snow in California, they don't get it a lot, but when they get snow in that area where we were from, they shut everything down. I remember one year they got snow, and Diane had gone down to San Luis Obispo, which is what's called the grade. Just go up and over this mountain and back down the other side. And I was with the kids, and she was down in San Luis, and it started to snow, and she got stuck in San Luis, and I got stuck up over the other side, and we didn't see each other for a day and a half. But that's just the way it was there. Storms were, and to me, storms have always been bad. I never, saw, when I was young, a storm to me was a bad thing. But you don't realize until you actually are, have your own ranch and your own place, and you realize how important storms really are. But let's get back to storms, though. The worst storm I ever was in, we were moving out here. We had moved almost everything out. It was in December. And I had one load of horses left, 5 horses. And it was Clay and I. Diane had already moved out here, and she was living out here. And we went the southern route. We went across Interstate 10 because there was a lot of different storms coming across. We didn't want to go through Flagstaff, worried about the snow over there. So we came up through 10, come up, and I think we stopped in New Mexico for a few hours and slept, and then drove the rest of the way. And by the time I got to Fort Worth, it was dark. I don't know what time it was, but I was really tired. And a storm hit, and you couldn't see nothing. You couldn't see to get off the road. What it looked like was a big pond out in front of us on that highway. And I didn't know what to do. And I was just driving along, and I was thinking, the best thing I can do is slow down and just hope I'm still on the highway, because I really didn't know. And I remember thinking that whole time, I was like, am I on the highway or what's going on? But for all I know, I could be driving into a lake. And in fact, my mind started playing tricks with me, and that was the first thing I thought. Oh no, I'm going to drive into a big lake, or I'm going to drive off the highway and into a pond or something, and Clay's sleeping the whole time. But it was just me and him, and I didn't know, and it was really, it like shook me up. It scared me. And I guess today I want to talk to you about storms, but storms in our life and how they make us feel and how we worry when things hit us. Storms hit us. Bad things happen. And when they happen, how do you react? What do you do? Do you, like, when I was driving up here that last trip of horses, I was tired. I was wore out. And when that storm hit, instead of me thinking everything's going to be okay, I just got to stay on the highway. The highway's in front of me. There's no lakes out there in front of me, even though it looked like a lake. And just keep driving slow until I get through it. Instead of doing that, I start telling myself all these bad things are going to happen. And you know what? In life, I think we do the same thing. We don't trust in what we already know is going to happen. We start fearing what could happen. And storms and things that happen in our lives, and I'm talking about anything in your life that's come along and that's hit you hard. You know, it could be health related. It could be, you know, you got a flat tire and you're out in the middle of nowhere and you don't know how you're going to get out of there. But whatever it is, how do you react to that? How do you take your storms? It's funny, and I was reading a couple of different books on just how you react to things like that. And I was reading this one book, and it was talking about in the Bible when Jesus asked his disciples to cross over this big lake. He said, let's cross over to the other side. And so they got in the boat and they left. And this big storm hit. Very big storm. And they were all upset. Every one of them. They were all like, we're all going to die. We're all going to die. That's how they were feeling. And they looked to Jesus. Now here's Jesus. He's sleeping. He's got his head laid down and he's sleeping. And they all looked at him and they thought, you got to get up. You got to do something. We're all going to die. And so they woke him up. And he got up and he put his hand out and he talked to the sea and to the wind and everything, and he stopped everything. It was all calm. And then he looked at him and he said, everything's fine. Don't worry. And the disciples looked at him, though, and they said, do you not care about us? You were sleeping. Do you not care? And a lot of people take that in different ways, but when I was reading this book, and it hit me really strong, is that the disciples actually had to go and ask for help. They had to go and ask him for help. And in our storms, and this is what I'm talking about, and the things that are happening in our lives and something's going wrong, what do? Do we get excited? Do we get upset? Or do we do what God, or what Christ just said? Just come. Everything will be okay. Talk to me. And that's what this was about. That story tells us that Christ isn't worried. He's going to help us. It's no problem, but we got to ask. A lot of times people think, gosh, I'm going through this thing. Is Christ sleeping on me? Is he not with me? Of course he's there. But we have to ask for help. And it's so important in our lives, no matter who you are, no matter if you're a Christian or not a Christian or anywhere in between, we're going to have troubles in this life. There's no way around it. It's a fallen world, and we're going to have troubles. How do you react to those troubles? Who do you go to? Do you scream and get upset and let the fear inside of you change you? Make you do things you shouldn't do? Make you say things you shouldn't say? Or do you say, Christ is here, all I have to do is ask him. He's right there. He may be sleeping, but he's waiting for our questions, and he is there, receptive to take care of us. And that's important. People don't understand in life that we're going to hit walls. We're going to have problems. It says in the Bible that this world, that the prince, and later on in a different place, the king, or the ruler of this world is the devil. The one that is devious, the one that is deceiving, the one that wants you to think that there's a problem and get worried and do the wrong thing. And that's what it's all about. He wants you to do the wrong thing. He wants you to forget about Christ. He wants you to say, nobody's there for me. And then he's got you. But if we remember that Christ is there and all we have to do is ask, and it'll always be there, we have no worry. We don't have to worry anymore. You know, it's tough. I'm telling you these things, and I'm saying it's simple, but it isn't. It's a tough thing to do. It's a tough thing to do when the doctor comes to you and tells you your wife's got cancer. It's a tough thing to do when your son has a broken arm, or your son has been in an automobile accident, or problems happen. But you know what? When you look around and you realize the only thing you can do, the only thing that makes sense to do, is to go to Christ. If you yell and you scream and you get upset, does that help? No, of course not. If you get mean or do something bad because of it, does that help? No. So why would you do any of those things? There's only one thing you can do. There's only one place to go. And that's what Christ tells us. Just go to Him. Because it says in the Bible that all things are possible through Christ who strengthens us. So if we go to Christ, we don't have to fear anything. If we know we can count on Him, we got it licked. We're good. Last week I talked about faith, and today I'm talking more or less about fear and what to do about it. Well, they're both interlinked. Faith and fear, and who we look to and what we count on. Because what is faith? Last week we talked about it. It's about believing in something even though you can't see it. Believing that it's going to happen no matter if you can't, because you can't see it up ahead, you know it's still going to happen. And fear is just what the devil wants you to do to move away from that faith. Fear is what he does every day in our lives to change our hearts and forget about Christ and do the wrong thing. So what do? We believe, we trust, and we have faith in Christ. And we fear no longer. I have some scriptures I want to read to y'all. I think they got a little sweaty though. And the first one is Psalms 34:19. It says, "The good man does not escape all troubles. He has them too. But the Lord helps him in each and every one." God is there for us. He's not going to ever abandon us. But remember, don't think He's sleeping just because He hasn't answered or helped you. Because if you haven't asked yet, you won't get an answer. You have to ask. Romans 3 through 4, it says, "Rejoice when we run into problems and trials, for we know that they are good for us. They help us learn to be patient. And patience develops strength of character in us and helps us trust God more each time we use it. Until finally our hope and faith are strong and steady." Strong and steady. That last week we talked about how what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and I said really it should say what doesn't kill you makes you humble, and being a humble servant is what Christ said was the strongest ruler or leader. Well, that's what we need to be. We need to be strong in our faith. Strong enough to realize that whatever fear happens in your life, that it isn't going to help you at all. That worry isn't going to add a second to your day. And in fact, it probably will take some away. So just remember one thing. Christ is there for you. You do not have to fear anything, because He will never abandon you. But the very first step in order to have Him with you is to to ask him in your heart. Like I said, when Christ was sleeping in that boat, he was waiting. And those disciples just had to ask. And what did he do? He calmed the storm. The storm was gone. All you had to do was ask. And right now, all you have to do is ask, and Christ can come into your heart, and he can calm all the storms. So right now, I'm going to ask him into mine. And if you want to do the same, he will come into yours. Dear Lord, I know that there's lots of storms in this world. I know that some are bad, some are actually going to do us a lot of good, like this one we got yesterday. It'll help everything grow. And again, in our lives, storms help us to grow steady and strong. So just come into my life, forgive my sins, lead me to do what you need me to do each and every day. Guide me to put me on the right trail so that I don't fall short, that I take the high road, not the low road, so that I don't go off base and forget that you are there always. Just stay close to me, and I will stay close to you. And in turn, I know that I have eternal life with you in heaven. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.